Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday, where timeless spiritual principles meet modern day success. I am Gloria Grace Rand, and it is January 8th already. Oh my gosh, we just completed the first week of a new year, and I'm contemplating the fact that this is a wonderful world we live in. Now, granted, I know it doesn't always seem that way. In fact, it seems quite chaotic. There are wildfires going on in California right now. There are viruses rearing their ugly heads again. I'm trying to ignore that. The typical craziness in politics, especially here in the United States. It's a little wild. And still, I challenge you to admit that it's a wonderful world. It still is. And in fact, that was the theme of today's daily word from Unity, which I love reading every single day. And I wanted to share that with you today to remind you of the fact that, yeah, this is a wonderful world. So it says, anything can be awe-inspiring when I see the world as a wonderful place. Everything feels fresh and new to me when I behold God in all things. I see the presence of God in the artistry and creativity of human-made creations. I marvel at the beauty of diversity in the animal kingdom and the beauty of the natural world. Every day becomes a celebration when I take time to fill my senses with appreciation of the world's wonders. During moments of quiet contemplation, I also appreciate the wonders of my spiritual life. In my prayer time, I find the glory of God anew and grow in appreciation for the peace and perfection of the divine. I am grateful for all worldly wonders. And that last sentence really sums up how we can maintain our focus on our wonderful world, because it starts with gratitude. And here's the other thing too to remember is that we have control over our lives. We have control over our world, and we get to choose every day how we want to be. So when you can start by living in gratitude, then you wind up having more things to be grateful for, number one. And the challenge that comes in, especially, like I said, with all the things that are going on right now. In fact, I've got people that I know who live in Southern California where they're dealing with wildfires. I have a friend who, had packed up to evacuate yesterday, but luckily she didn't have to. But to think about, when you have things like this that go on with your life, that go on in our lives, and we have to think, well, how can I be grateful for, the fact that, and maybe you did have to evacuate. Maybe you've lost your home. These things happen. How the heck can I ever be grateful for that? Well, it starts with focusing in on what you do have. So, things can always be replaced. That's not pleasant to have to do, but it can be, if you still are alive, if you're still breathing today, that's really a great start of something to be grateful for. And know that, the universe really does want you to succeed and thrive. And it's sometimes when things don't work out for us or challenges come our way, sometimes it's because there's something better on the horizon that we're not aware of. Also, sometimes it's to teach us some lessons, which again, as human beings, we don't always want to hear, and we don't necessarily want to appreciate. And sometimes we have to learn these lessons over and over again, which can be really frustrating. I know I've had to do that. Sometimes the universe hits you over the head with things. And in fact, here's an example of one thing. When I was writing my book, Live, Love, Engage, I was working with a coach at the time, and it finally occurred to me why I had to write this book about about love and about how to stop doubting yourself and start being yourself. And it was because I needed to learn the lessons for myself. I wasn't practicing self-love. Um, I was doubting myself, especially after my sister passed, because she was my biggest cheerleader in my business. So what happened after I had a big cry from from uh, from this realization during my coaching session was I went and I started driving. I was taking music lessons, singing lessons actually at the time, and I started driving down to go to my singing lesson. And I got about maybe 5 minutes away from my home when I'm driving in the car, going, "Why am I in the car? Where am I going? What am I doing?" I like totally it totally blanked, and I was looking at my wisdom, the music, I mean, and I'm like, "Why do I have music in my car? What am I doing?" And so I pulled over into a parking lot of a supermarket and called my daughter and called my husband and evidently called my daughter about like 10 times saying the same thing, like something's wrong with me. I think I might be having a stroke. I don't know. And, can you call 911 or something for me? And so, I wound up going. Actually, by the time the EMTs arrived, I started remembering again. It was like I had this strange. There's a term for it. I forget what it is, but they finally diagnosed me with. But it is this like strange sort of temporary amnesia thing that comes across from stress, overexertion, physical exertion. I'd actually completed a marathon a couple days before, um, so it was like all these things kind of rolled together. And what was the point of this? Oh, yeah. So I felt like the universe was, or God, spirit, however you want to call it, was hitting me over the head with a 2x4 to say, this is, this stuff is very important to you and it's important to share. And that's why I now am teaching the love method, what I wrote about in my book. So it's, you know, I'm so grateful that that happened, even though at the time it was quite scary and I had to go get MRIs and all that fun stuff. But luckily I found out, there was nothing seriously wrong with me and it was okay. And it really made me appreciate the blessings that I have. Made me appreciate, hey, having good health insurance, so I was able to get that stuff done. Appreciate all the wonderful people who helped me. And and so that's what it really boils down to, is that knowing that we live in a wonderful world. We have this ability to create a wonderful world for ourselves by deciding, taking action, being grateful for everything that we have, and and just trusting that everything is going to work out. I believe in divine timing and that everything eventually works out. Like I said, it doesn't always work out on our schedule. I another example. 2 years ago, I was going to I was intending and had gone through some training to offer a 6-month mastermind. And I wanted to do this, and I had some discovery calls, but I don't know, something wasn't quite right about it, and so it didn't happen. And of course, I realize now that the reason it didn't happen was because I wasn't ready. I still had to do some work on myself. I was going through actually separating from my husband at the time and learning to live by myself in a new apartment. And I still needed to really understand what I wanted to teach in this program. And so late last year, finally, the stars aligned and I was feeling more confident, and also working with coaches, which I highly recommend doing. Having coaches, being in a mastermind, it's so great because you get such great feedback. And so in doing that work, I decided to launch a 30-day program instead. And so I called it Align to Shine Academy. And so I launched that last late November, right after Thanksgiving, and had some wonderful women participate. And it was exciting to finally be able to bring this to fruition. So even though the timing wasn't right then, the timing was right now, and I'm going to do it again at the end of February. So in fact, I'll put a link in the comments after I get done here today, and in case you want to check it out and see if it's right for you. I'd love to invite you to join. So here's the thing. Like I said, I don't want these to be long. I just want to encourage you to really feel the truth of this, and that, this is a wonderful world that we live in, and we get to make it that way every day. Every day we get that chance to go out and say, okay, what can I do to make today wonderful? And since today is Wednesday, and maybe instead of Wisdom Wednesday, we should call it Wonderful Wednesday. So how can you make today wonderful? And if you are someone who likes affirmations, the daily word always includes an affirmation. So today's is, it truly is a wonderful world. It truly is a wonderful world. So maybe write that down and put it up on a mirror somewhere in your home, and put it on your computer or something, so you can see it, and to remind yourself that it is a wonderful world, and I might even add, and I get to create it. Isn't that, talk about empowering that is. I get to create the wonderful world that I live in. You don't have to leave it up to chance. You don't have to leave it up to anybody else. You get to decide that if you want to have a wonderful world, you can create it today, starting right now. Right now. Do that. So, I'd love to hear if you have any comments. Please leave them down below, and I will also leave you with this. I'm wearing my t-shirt today that says blessed. And that's another thing to focus on today, is that I was feeling blessed this morning. I was grateful to be alive, grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm like, I'm going to wear this today. So know that you are also blessed, because you are here. You are alive. You are a thriving human being, and you are blessed. So embrace that. Know it. Embrace it today. Okay. And I'll see you here again next week. So take care, and yeah, make it a blessed and wonderful day.